Welcome back to my channel. When it comes to watercolors, I want to just there's a couple of things that I wanted to stress and show you today. If you're struggling with your watercolors, there's something that I have in mind. I just want to fly you through the materials that I'm using. I've got this 140-pound rough paper, which is really nice. It's got that texture on it, and I've got my all-important water jars. I'm going to use just a few of my brushes. I do like these mop brushes. I do have a smaller brush if I need to, my liner brush as well. So these are going to hold plenty of water, and I think I'll kick off with this Hake brush. And one of the things that I want to show you is it's all about water and water control. I'm going to use this palette. So the first wash isn't really that important. Why, you may ask? Well, first of all, you're working. I'm just going to mix up a little bit of yellow ochre. I haven't wet the paper, I did forget, but just let's pop in some of that yellow ochre, and I'm going to add water to that. And I see so many people, when it comes to watercolors, they use really strong pigment right off the bat. And I think it's really important to layer, gradually build up the color and intensity as you go along. But the first wash, you can see I've got plenty of water on my brush, and that's the reason why I use a Hake brush, but any large brush will do. You just really want to cover the paper, and you want to think about highlights in the scene where you want the light to be the strongest. And so you can leave that space. If you want a really light tone, then what you want to do is gradually, and I'm tapping in a bit of neutral tint here, just pull that, and you can see I'm leaving the middle, the center of the painting for my lightest area, and you'll see what I mean as I go along. So it's not essential that you leave whites, but I think sometimes it's nice to have a little sort of focal area, and it doesn't really matter as much as you may think. This first, it is important, but you don't have to get things perfect in this stage. I'm just going to pull some of that pigment across. Let's get some, we've got some light areas here, which I'm happy with. And then if you want to lighten up a bit more, you can go in with a clean brush, just rinse it off, and you can sort of pull this colour, blend it. It just gives a nice softness to the scene. If I can just grab your attention for a second, make sure my mic's on. There seems to be a problem with my YouTube. There's a little thumb that goes up. It's not working for me, so if you just give that a little tap and just see if we can get that fixed. It is a problem that YouTube is aware of, and I would appreciate if you just tap that button for me, and let's see if it works. You can also sort of make some clouds, that sort of thing, as you do. It's just a really nice way of doing it. Just roughing in some textures. So this really is setting the stage for the painting. Again, I'm not too bothered how it looks. This is an important stage, but you can really put any colour in, any colour you want. And like I said, it's all about water control, layering, and there's all these things that you got to think about as you put brush to paper. And I'm quite happy with this. I think I'll leave this to dry. Just throwing down paint and letting that settle. And I know Some people use hair dryers just to get that stage sort of set and so you don't get any more movement, but I like to use time to allow these things to dry naturally, because it gives a nice organic feel. And let me just wipe off the excess paint from the tape so I don't get nib bleed back, and I want to go in and just add a few little highlights. And this is one of those scenes that I'm making up. I don't quite know really what I'm gonna add in this scene, but I'm gonna let the pigment show me what wants to be there. And so just a few little highlights, a few little ones here. So we're gonna have some rocks in the scene. That's what I'm making here, little highlights of rocks. And you can always cover those over if you're not happy with those. But I think that will do for this part of the scene. And this is quite a quick painting. I just want to show you some little tips and tricks along the way. So I'll just let this area dry, I'll let the painting dry before I go in and add some more details. The paint is not quite dry yet, but while it's a bit damp, I want a few trees in the distance. So I want to just add these so that they soften and blend and almost disappear, so they are going to be in the background of this painting. So you've got to pay attention to the paper, how wet the paper still is, and I'm mixing just a little bit of Payne's grey, more than likely. Payne's grey or neutral tint, either will do for this little section. So I'm going to be adding things into the background, and you got to work through that ugly stage. It's quite... I thought it was just me when I first started painting these ugly stages, but I've heard a lot of people talk about that. So the ugly stage is just when things don't seem to look all that great, and time when you start thinking I should quit and abandon the painting. Well, don't do that. You want to just get through that ugly stage, and you'll find that things start working and looking the way you want. So just a few suggested trees in this area, and obviously when the paint starts to dry, the paper starts drying, you can go in with some thicker paint. But for first sort of covering, you want quite light mix, and so you get everything sort of blending and you get these softer colours, and you're working from back to front as you come down and start adding more pigment. And that's one thing that I would suggest. Start with your lighter tones, and then because it's a transparent medium, you want to start adding more pigment as you progress through the painting. And pay attention to where you're at the painting. So you got a foreground, a background, a sky and that sort of thing, and then you got a middle ground, and then you got the foreground. So you've got to bear that in mind. You want to come darker as you come down. Hopefully that makes sense. And just work through that messy stage, because you probably will hit that, and it's just part of the process, and you just got to keep going. I do appreciate that art is subjective, and you get many people telling you you can't do this, you can't do that, you must try this, and this works and this doesn't. But I think if you get the overall idea, and you know how the pigment works, then I just offer these tips, and it's up to you whether you incorporate these in your paintings. I'm just suggesting these are things that I do and I find work for me. But everyone's different, and like I said, art is subjective. What you may like, other people may not. So it's about just practicing and trying different techniques, seeing what works for you. And you may have heard me say, just painting and seeing what happens on the paper, and then letting that sort of dictate the actual painting as I progress through the different stages. But as long as you remember that the watercolor is transparent, so you want to get those lighter tones down first. And that's usually the way, you know, there is different ways of painting, but on the whole, it is normally the way to paint, just using those lighter pigments, using more water. And that's why I do suggest using the bigger brushes, just to get that coverage, especially on your first wash. And just try and get things down in sort of one go, just to make things less messing. And then obviously once you get past that stage, you got the ugly stage as well. But once you get past those first couple of stages, then you can grab your smaller brushes and start messing with details. I do actually start with using a pen as well. I do like to use pen just to get some more definition within your painting. It does help to just add texture and definition and bring things forward in the foreground. So you may want to use a pen to do that. It really is quite fun, and you just got to try different things, seeing what works for you, what style of painting you want. You can see just using a pen now to get some of those twigs and branches on the tree, just to get some more definition. And this is more apparent in the foreground, so the trees that are closer to us down at the bottom of the paper, I want more definition on those. And then as you go towards the center or the foreground of the painting, I'm happy to leave those lighter, a bit looser, a bit more faded, so that they do stand back in the background. Now these rocks in the foreground, they are quite nice, and I'm thinking there's two things I could do here. I could have them as highlights on the rocks where the light's hitting those rocks, or I could just make them into snow-covered areas, which I think I'm quite drawn to. I think I'm going to have them as that in my painting. And like I said, I didn't really know what I was painting and what to include, but as I've painted, I've seen the way things are going, and I just like a little bit of snow in this scene, so it is quite mountainous, and it's something I do enjoy painting. Let me know in the comments section what you think. Hopefully you do like this and you do give us a thumbs up. And then I just want to add a few little details in the background. So there's a few little mountains popping through in the distance, and I'm not going for a sharp image or anything like that. I want this painting to be suggestive, and you can, as you look at this painting, you sort of fill in the gaps. And I really like doing that in my paintings, just having this vagueness about the painting, which I find quite effective. Again, let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm just allowing the viewer to make the mind up what may be in this scene, but I think mostly it's a mountain scene, so it could be more like a winter scene with a few bits of snow here and there. And then you got this nice yellow sort of glow in the middle of the scene, which could represent the sun sort of setting or whatever it may be, but I'm happy to leave that and leave that to your interpretation. But I think this is quite a fun painting. I've really enjoyed doing this one, and yeah, hopefully you like it. If you are new to my channel, then please do give us a thumbs up and do consider to subscribe. It really does help my channel to grow. I want to grow my audience as well. I've got some really fantastic people here on my channel who always support me, leaving comments and really nice things, saying really nice things. So I'd love to have you on board as part of my community, and just let me know if you want to see certain things painted, and I can always make a video and tackle those sort of things that you may find difficult. So just removing the tape now, just to give that nice crisp clean border. I do like this part. It just helps the painting to sort of come alive, and it always makes the painting look better than what it is. And I do have a little blob in the corner of paint where it may have splashed up or something. So I'm just going to add a few birds as well to this scene. So I'm going to cover that little splash of paint. So I'm going to use a pen to just draw in a few birds, and that's pretty much it for this one. Again, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for spending your time with me today, this morning, this evening, whatever it may be. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.